Joker and Batman are bros. Arthur Fleck discovers a letter from his mother, Penny, claiming Thomas Wayne is his father, making him Bruce Wayne's half-brother. Penny worked as a housekeeper at Wayne Manor, giving her direct access to Thomas. Brett Cullen, who played Thomas Wayne, confirmed director Todd Phillips told him Penny had a physical relationship with Thomas, and that Wayne put her in mental institutions to cover up the affair. Arthur's adoption papers could be forged. Thomas had the wealth and power to create fake documents at Arkham Asylum. The medical records showing Penny's narcissistic personality disorder and Arthur's abuse could be planted evidence. The film uses unreliable narrator technique, and even Joaquin Phoenix questioned whether Penny was telling the truth. The movie deliberately never answers it, leaving the disturbing possibility that the Clown Prince of Crime and the Dark Knight share blood. Lex Luthor knew Bruce was Batman all along. Lex Luthor's entire plan only works if he knew Bruce Wayne's secret identity from the start. In the Ultimate Edition jail scene, Lex uses specific puns, revealing he knows who's behind the cowl. He tracked the Batmobile directly to Bruce's glasshouse compound. Lex ran facial recognition on metahuman files from Star Labs, hacked security footage from Gotham banks and stores, and bragged about having ears inside the CIA. His manipulation of Bruce's anger toward Superman only works if he knows Bruce is Batman. He kidnapped Martha Kent by name, showing he knew Clark's identity too. Lex engineered the Nairobi incident, knowing Superman would save Lois. Zack Snyder's Justice League confirms this when Lex explicitly tells Deathstroke that Bruce Wayne is Batman. Lex Luthor is the smartest man on Earth. He absolutely knew Harvey Dent was always corrupt. Harvey Dent's tragedy isn't that acid created Two-Face. It's that Two-Face was always there. He arrives late to major court cases and shrugs it off. His famous double-headed coin is rigged from the start to make his own luck, which is literally his campaign slogan. Harvey makes job decisions using this fake coin, including whether to date Rachel. He casually disassembles a Chinese gun and identifies it instantly, showing weapons expertise beyond what a DA should have. He threatens to shoot a suspect in the head without hesitation before his disfigurement. Harvey displays violent outbursts and aggressive interrogation tactics early in the film. Most damning, Gotham police nicknamed him Harvey Two-Face before the acid attack ever happened. Aaron Eckhart confirmed Harvey had two personalities he was suppressing. The acid didn't create Two-Face. It freed him. By the way, more DC content coming. But first, there's a visual pattern in the Batman that nobody talks about. Watch for it. Joker is Jason Todd. Jared Leto's Joker has a dead Robin tattoo on his bicep that connects to the vandalized Robin's suit in Batman v Superman with "Jokes on You Batman" spray-painted across it. Warner Brothers confirmed that suit belonged to Jason Todd. This theory suggests Leto's Joker is Jason Todd, transformed into the monster that supposedly killed him. The J tattoo on his face could stand for Jason, not Joker. His damaged, capped teeth match someone brutally beaten by Batman. Early rumors mentioned Harley Quinn feeling guilty about Jason Todd's death. Leto and Affleck are roughly the same age, fitting if Jason became Joker instead of dying. The psychological horror of Batman facing his twisted former partner would explain their vicious relationship. However, director David Ayer explicitly denied this theory, stating, "It ain't the case." The dead Robin tattoo likely commemorates Joker's victory over Jason rather than his identity. Riddler and Batman are mirror images. The Batman opens with Riddler's point of view watching a target, then immediately cuts to Batman's POV doing the same thing. Edward Nashton and Bruce Wayne are trauma-forged mirrors. Both wear DIY military surplus costumes. Both hate their civilian personas and prefer masked identities. Both experienced childhood trauma. Bruce lost parents to violence. Edward was abandoned in a Wayne Foundation orphanage that was defunded. Both keep detailed journals and surveil the same targets from the Iceberg Lounge. Riddler's recording goggles mirror Batman's enhanced contact lens. Both seek to expose Gotham's corruption through violence. The crucial difference is support. Bruce had Alfred guiding him toward justice. Edward had nobody, pushing him toward vengeance. Paul Dano's Riddler sees Batman as a kindred spirit and ally. They're the same broken man under different circumstances, proving the line between hero and villain is razor-thin. Zod actually saved Krypton. General Zod was genetically engineered specifically to protect Krypton at all costs, making his extreme actions biological imperative, not villainy. He attempted a coup because the Council's weak leadership was destroying the planet. Zod correctly predicted Krypton's destruction, while scientists ignored the warnings. He and Jor-El were close friends, sharing the same goal of revitalizing Krypton, just disagreeing on methods. After Krypton exploded, Zod spent 33 years searching for survivors. Discovering all colony worlds died when Krypton stopped communicating. He needed the growth codex from Kal-El's cells to rebuild their race properly with genetic diversity. Michael Shannon noted Zod was born to protect, not evil, but extreme. When saving Krypton becomes impossible, Zod wants Superman to kill him because life without purpose is unbearable. From his perspective, Superman chose humanity over his own people. Zod was a soldier following DNA-level orders. Steve Trevor is imaginary. Some fans theorize Steve Trevor exists only in Diana's mind, conjured by loneliness and desire for connection. His convenient plane crash onto the Masira, instant romantic chemistry, and perfectly timed arrival represent wish fulfillment rather than reality. The film would then be Diana processing trauma through an idealized vision of humanity. However, this theory has significantly less evidence than others. Steve clearly interacts with multiple characters independently of Diana, including Ita Candy, his secretary, and military command. Other soldiers fight alongside him, and his death impacts people who never met Diana. The film presents Steve as unambiguously real. This theory represents audience desire to explain romance through symbolism rather than actual evidence. Steve isn't imaginary. He's Diana's first experience with love, sacrifice, and man's world's complicated morality, transforming her from glory-seeking warrior into Wonder Woman who fights for flawed humanity. But that's not the darkest theory. Orm was right about the surface world. King Orm is positioned as Aquaman's villain, but his environmental crusade reveals uncomfortable truths about humanity. Orm sought to protect Atlantis and ocean life from surface world pollution, literally poisoning his kingdom. Surface dwellers were dumping garbage, toxins, and industrial waste directly into Atlantean territory, treating the ocean as an infinite garbage dump. Orm's methods were extreme, planning all-out war, but his environmental concerns were completely legitimate. From an Atlantean perspective, the surface world was committing slow-motion genocide against ocean civilizations. Arthur's half-human status was seen as impure, not from racism, but from witnessing what humanity does to the ocean. Patrick Wilson played Orm with deliberately sympathetic motivations, showing a leader desperate to protect his people from existential threat. Orm wasn't wrong about the problem, just the solution. Arthur becomes king not by proving Orm wrong, but by offering coexistence instead of destruction. Orm's warnings about climate change and ocean pollution have only become more urgent, proving his environmental analysis was correct, even if his military response wasn't. Wizard knew about Black Adam's return. The ancient wizard who guards the Rock of Eternity in Shazam makes references to previous champions and the dangers of corrupted magic users throughout the film. Dr. Sivana's research into ancient magic and his connection to the 7 deadly sins wasn't random. It was building towards something larger. The Rock of Eternity displays statues of other champions who came before Billy Batson, suggesting a long lineage of magic warriors. The 7 Deadly Sins plot connects directly to broader DC mythology about ancient magical forces and their champions. Most telling is the wizard's desperation to find a pure-hearted successor before dying, as if racing against a deadline. The post-credits scene introduces Mr. Mind and teases a larger magical universe coming into conflict. When Black Adam released as a separate film in 2022, it confirmed the wizard's fears. Black Adam was the previous champion, corrupted by power and imprisoned for 5,000 years. The wizard knew Black Adam's prison was weakening and needed a new champion ready to face him when he inevitably broke free. Every test Billy failed was the wizard checking for the corruption that destroyed Tithidum. The wizard's urgency wasn't about the sins escaping, it was about Black Adam returning. Shazam wasn't chosen to fight Sivana. He was chosen to eventually fight Black Adam, making Billy Batson's entire origin story preparation for a confrontation the wizard knew was coming but wouldn't live to see. Created the entire DCEU timeline. Barry Allen's time travel in The Flash doesn't just alter details. It creates entirely new timelines with massive consequences. When Barry runs back to save his mother from murder, he doesn't prevent one death. He generates a butterfly effect, restructuring the entire DC universe. In the new timeline, General Zod returns, but Superman never existed, forcing Barry to find a different Kryptonian. His interference caused ripples backward and forward through time, suggesting the DCEU we've watched might itself be a corrupted timeline created by Barry's meddling. Moving a can of tomatoes creates exponentially larger consequences. Barry's personal tragedy causes Michael Keaton's Batman to exist instead of Ben Affleck, introduces Supergirl instead of Superman, and fundamentally alters which heroes exist. The multiverse collapses, forcing Barry to accept some tragedies cannot be prevented because they're foundational to reality. Barry has potentially created and destroyed multiple DCEU timelines. Every DCEU film could show a timeline already corrupted by Flash's interference, explaining inconsistencies and tonal shifts. The DCEU isn't failing continuity. It's showing consequences of a speedster who broke time. Superman came back wrong. Before resurrecting Superman using the Kryptonian ship and Mother Box, the League debated consequences. Aquaman warned, even if brought back, he might not have his soul. Barry Allen explicitly referenced Stephen King's Pet Sematary about resurrection bringing back corrupted versions. Diana warned it could lead to another doomsday situation. They ignored every red flag because they were desperate. When Superman returns, he immediately attacks the Justice League with overwhelming force. His mind isn't fully restored. He's experiencing post-resurrection rage and confusion. Cyborg had a vision of the nightmare future showing evil Superman ruling Earth with totalitarian control, targeting military, police, and civilians. Only Lois Lane's presence calms him down, implying she's the single anchor keeping Superman heroic. Zack Snyder used resurrection to pivot Superman to a more traditionally optimistic version, but previous films established a darker, conflicted character. The warnings remain. Superman died and came back. The nightmare timeline is still possible. Something came back wrong. The League just won't admit it. Bane was the hero. Bane is framed as a terrorist, but examining his actions through Gotham's perspective reveals a revolutionary fighting systemic corruption. He sought to fulfill Ra's al Ghul's mission to destroy Gotham's embedded inequality and give the city back to its people through forced revolution. Bane exposed corrupt officials, revealed Harvey Dent's crimes that the city covered up, and freed prisoners who'd been unjustly incarcerated by a broken justice system. Meanwhile, Bruce Wayne spent 8 years in self-imposed exile doing absolutely nothing while Gotham struggled. He abandoned his city, his company, and his mission because Rachel died. Batman disappeared when Gotham still needed him, allowing organized crime and corruption to fester under the facade of the Dent Act. Bane's methods were extreme, including a nuclear bomb threat, but his revolution addressed real inequality that Batman's wealthy vigilantism never solved. He gave Gotham's poor and oppressed the power to overthrow their rulers, exposing how the city's peace was built on lies and authoritarian surveillance. The rich lived in luxury while the poor were brutalized by police. Bane saw this and acted. Batman protected the status quo that benefited people like Bruce Wayne. The film tries to frame Bane as a monster, but his criticisms of Gotham's power structures are completely valid. He's a revolutionary fighting an oligarchy protected by a billionaire in a costume. The revolution failed not because it was wrong, but because it was too extreme. Bane understood Gotham's sickness. He just chose the wrong cure. Harley Quinn is an unreliable narrator. Birds of Prey is narrated entirely from Harley Quinn's perspective, and she explicitly admits normal is a setting on the washer, warning audiences her version of reality is questionable. The film presents events non-chronologically, jumping through time matching Harley's chaotic mental state rather than logical storytelling. She rewinds scenes, fast-forwards through boring parts, and embellishes moments to look cooler. This isn't style, it's characterization. Harley's events are likely exaggerated, misremembered, or fabricated. Other characters react differently than Harley describes, suggesting she's filtering through distorted perception. The hyena might not be friendly. The fights might not be spectacular. Her relationships might be more complicated than her narration suggests. The film develops Harley independently of Joker, but that voice is unreliable. We're watching Harley's fantasy version of emancipation, filtered through trauma and her need to prove she's more than Joker's girlfriend. Christopher Smith is Amanda Waller's son. Peacemaker explores Christopher's relationship with white supremacist father Augie Smith, who abused him into becoming a killer. Amanda Waller displays unusual personal interest in Peacemaker's survival, going beyond typical cold pragmatism with other squad members. She monitors him closely, intervenes when threatened, and shows protective behavior inconsistent with her ruthless reputation. Fans theorize Christopher is Waller's biological son, given up or taken, ending up with Augie, who raised him with twisted values. This explains why Waller chose Peacemaker despite better options, tracks his psychological state carefully, and seems personally invested in redemption rather than utility. Waller might be saving her son from becoming like his adoptive father without revealing their connection. However, this remains unconfirmed speculation with no direct evidence. Protective behavior could be Waller preserving her investment. Still, emotional weight suggests something deeper than handler and asset.